Hello, welcome back to the BookEnds YouTube channel, social distancing edition. We're on Zoom,
We are, and if you've never been here before, I'm
uh,
Jessica Faust.
and I'm James McGowan, and we kind of do this weekly talk show in which we find ourselves
Oh,
too funny.
I love that we're called the talk show now.
I do think that, yeah, this is like the publishing Kelly and Ryan, right?
Oh, yeah,
All
I'll be
right,
Kelly any day.
okay, good. And they're rich, so you know. Okay, so today we're talking. We get a lot of.
Lot, a lot of.
I don't know what happened there. We get we get a lot of comments on YouTube, on the blog, on Twitter to do more picture book content. And that's my thing. So you don't really have to convince me too much. So
Take it
I
away,
am
James.
yeah, so I've polled the bookends team and I've come up with the top 5 reasons that picture books are rejected. The most common ones that we um find ourselves rejecting for. Just said the
I have a
same thing
question.
twice.
I have a question because that's what
Yeah.
I'm here to do.
Okay.
Um, are these usually rejected based on the query? Because you usually get the whole picture book in a query too, right? Not always.
So, not always. So
Okay.
these are gonna be, it's kinda gonna be both, and I guess I can go into this is gonna be okay.
Actually reading the picture book.
Actually reading the picture book. Yeah,
Okay.
they will sort of a lot of it will spill over into the query because a lot of this information might come across in the query.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll just touch on all of that, as we
Okay.
go. So
Cool.
number 1, this is probably the most common one, the most common one across bookends too, is that your picture book is coming across too didactic and too preachy. Nobody wants to read a picture book to their kids that's just kind of driving home the message and being so I don't even know how to put it, but other than preachy, like
Well,
preaching to the kid.
it's funny that you say that because I was reading deals today and I came across a picture book deal and it was like, picture book about blah, blah, blah that teaches blah, blah, blah. And I was like,
But here's the thing, like most picture books will teach. And
but I don't want it. I don't really want to know I'm learning.
right. So the idea for most picture books, like Grumpy Monkey, is it's really funny. It's beautiful illustrations. I have it. Let me grab
Oh, see you later.
it.
Hi, everyone. We'll wait for James.
So, like Grumpy Monkey, it's
Yeah.
really funny. It's beautiful illustrations.
Oh, yeah.
But what it's doing throughout the entire book, throughout the humor in its pages and the kind of rise and fall action of its plot, it's teaching kids that it's okay to be grumpy. Like you're gonna be grumpy a lot. And you kind of just have to let yourself feel that.
I
But
feel
it's
like
not
you're targeting this conversation now.
no, this I just recently bought this right before the world went to hell in a handbasket.
Oh, that's good timing.
It was right helping me manage my anger. No, but it's really such a great example of a good picture book in general.
Yeah.
Um, but
Right.
it's
Like you don't want like the idea behind the book shouldn't be first to teach. It should be
yes
first to entertain.
to entertain, yes, but what you're getting across in the subtleties of your plot, your character, your words will in all actuality teach a lesson to the kids.
Sure.
But we don't want that to be over the top. And if they're over the top, it kind of makes it harder for agents to really sell those because we'll get editor responses that they don't want that either.
No.
They don't work too well.
No, and
Um,
parents don't want it either. Parents,
yeah,
I mean, let's face it, reading, is wonderful, but I want to be as entertained as kids are entertained. And the
and
books
kids are
that
hard to
sell them,
entertain.
yeah, and the books that tend to sell the best are those that entertain the parents as well as the kids.
Yes. And again, there are, of course, sweet picture books. There are picture books that aim to impart a lesson. Jory John does it really well with his Bad Seed, Cool Bean, Good Egg series. But he's doing it in a really humorous and fresh way. So you kind of have to find that perfect balance. It's not something
Hmm.
that we can really teach. It just kind of happens. And some ideas work better for that, some don't. So that's our number one reason I would say that we are rejecting picture books.
Again, do your research. Read the
Yeah,
picture books and really take a look at them, not just don't just, I think the best advice that I can give any writer of anything is read the books that you love, but with an analytical eye. Look
yeah.
at how Grumpy Monkey entertains while teaches subtly. Are we going to show it again? Oh,
Yeah.
last time. You would think it's one of ours.
I know it's not though. It's major agent envy for me. So I will say that small plug.
Okay, yeah.
Um, yeah. So number two is length. So picture books have a very specific length that they have to remain at, and that it varies, which is the hard part. But they should never really be more than 1,000 words in
Okay.
fiction. Nonfiction can be 1,000, a little more, maybe 1,500. But the length really does show us something. So the sweet spot for fiction picture books is around 400 to 600. Again, there are plenty of picture books that are probably more than that that do it really well. But if the book is too long, the book is too short, then
Yeah.
it's showing us that it's probably either missing something or it has too much of something. Where in reality, it's missing a really good revision and streamline. Um,
Which is sort of word counts across the board for anything you're
yeah,
doing. If it's too long, it's got too much of something. If it's too short, it's missing something.
yeah. The only thing I will say is that in picture books, it's really conditional. It depends on how the concept really lends itself. So it's
Mm,
something that I won't reject a picture book based off of word count right away, unless
yeah.
it's something like you're sending me a 2,400 word count picture book. That's probably more in the realm of a chapter book. It's not something that I'm really doing anyway. So yeah, I probably would reject based on that. But it's more like it's more a sign that is pushing me towards whether I would reject a request. So
Gotcha.
I will put that disclaimer in there. So number three, there's a lot of feelings about. I'm saying a lot.
Sounds like maybe you need to revise.
Maybe I need to revise. Yeah, I need a good editor, red pen. No, there are strong feelings about rhyme.
Yeah.
Rhyme. So I guess the reason for you to use rhyme to tell your picture book has to be really warranted. It has to make sense. It has to really work. Those forced rhymes, they don't make a good story. You're
Yeah.
kind of roundabouting the story just so you can get a rhyme, and it turns a lot of picture book agents and editors off. And plus, rhymes are really hard to translate, which it would make it harder for a really good rhyme for a book to be really good.
To be able to get foreign sales.
Foreign sales, yeah, and it would have to be exceptional for an editor to really wanna work on it,
Yeah.
because rhyme does sort of limit some things.
Do you think that people sort of maybe newer picture book authors sort of have a Dr. Seuss connection that to be a great picture book you have to rhyme when
Yeah,
in truth very few picture books rhyme?
yeah, yeah, and I think that if you're reading the rhyme, of Dr. Seuss, and he made so much stuff up,
Oh
and he was
yeah,
able to
oh
do
yeah.
that. Like, he really set the rules, and he created so much just to make his rhymes work. Not
Yeah.
everyone is doing that, not everyone can do that really successfully. I'd say if you really want to write in rhyme, read the people who do it well, like Josh Funk, just to name one. But
But why
I
do you
think
want to write? I guess my question to you as an author is then why is it so important to write in rhyme?
right,
You
because the
know, I
story
mean,
really call for it.
yeah, yeah,
And again, I'm not trying to push you away from rhyme because some people do it really well. I have a client who does it really well. We've taken a couple out on submission, but it has to make sense and it has to be done really well.
mhm,
Okay,
yeah,
so number four, this one kind of goes back a little bit to the number one, too didactic or preachy, the voice. But this is so super subjective.
yeah,
I could love a voice, I could hate a voice that Jessica loves. It's just really what we're responding to.
yeah.
Um, so I don't have too much to say that other
You
than
know what? Voice is
go
personal,
ahead.
not just from a reader's perspective, but an author's perspective. And I think we
Yeah,
get a lot of questions about, well, what is voice? And voice is your voice. It's
it's
how
so
you
hard to
write.
define.
Yeah, it's your style of writing. It's your tone. It's how you convey your humor or your suspense, or
Yeah,
it's really how you write. I think you can grow your voice and you can modify your voice and you can change your voice and you
and
can
each book could have a different voice.
it could. It could.
Yeah,
But if you pick up picture books from the same author, pick up, three from this author and three from this author, you'll see sort of, you probably will be able to understand voice a little bit because you'll be able to hear the author's voice and how this author has a different voice than this author and so on.
right. And for my picture book people, one of the best examples I can think of is Elise Parsley. You read an Elise Parsley book, you know it's Elise Parsley. She's got that
Yeah.
really fun voice, and the art is really distinctive.
Sandra Boynton.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm. Yep. Look at me knowing
Um,
stuff.
huh?
Look at me knowing stuff.
Yeah, taking my spot now. Okay, so the last reason I would say we commonly reject picture books is just something is too common. We've seen it before, whether you put this animal in this situation like somebody else did, or
Do you see common hooks that don't sell? Because I know in adult, I will often see hooks. I always use the cloning of Jesus as an example that are I see a lot and over the years have seen a lot of, but it's not necessarily a hook for good reason, I guess, that actually you see a lot in published books.
I feel like picture books are so much harder to nail down. I
Hmm.
think that so much works because the experiences that children have are really universal, and you can put any animal, character, creature into those
Yeah.
examples and really make it fresh. I will say things do get harder. Unicorns are pretty tough right now. People
Mhm.
have written a lot of unicorn books. There's a lot
Yeah.
on the shelves and coming out. Um, so I think it's more trends in picture books because a
Yeah.
lot of those experiences are perennial and they happen for every kid, even kids in pandemics, and they're still
Well,
going
yeah.
through it.
Yeah, I see it. I mean, there's a lot of dinosaur books. I don't know if those
Right.
are, but
I
it's
will
harder.
say though, like if you're trying to pitch a book with dinosaurs going to sleep, my mind jumps to Jane Yolen's How does a dinosaur say goodnight? It's going to be harder
Yeah, yeah,
because it's
yeah.
got to be fresh.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah, so those are the Bookends Agents' top 5 reasons for why we'd reject picture books. More submissions than queries, but that information does come through in queries. Um,
And don't send me your picture books. Send them to James.
yeah, please. Yeah, so that's it. If you have any questions, leave them below in the comments. I'm happy to go through and answer them and maybe make more picture book videos. In the meantime, make sure you like and subscribe so you'll see our face next week or tomorrow or whatever day it is.
And
So,
stay well. And
yes,
we will see you all soon. Thank you.
bye.